What's going on YouTube? Greg here. We are back with another vlog. As you can see, we're here with Acura of Bedford Hills here in New York. They're partners with Mount Kisco Honda just on the other side of the building. So we have Acura, Bedford Hills. Big shout out to salesperson Al here for letting me take a look at the Integra, take it for a test drive, and give my first impressions on it. So we got it here, taken out. It was just delivered yesterday, as you guys saw in my previous video. This is the only Integra that they got, and it's a demo car. So they have to hold it for 6 months and they can't sell it. And the reason for that is to just allow customers to come in, test drive it, take a look at it, and potentially purchase one. It's beautiful Apex blue. It looks really good next to the Phoenix yellow on my Type R. And I just drove that here, and we're gonna drive the Integra after we do a walk around of it. So yesterday I was in the garage. I didn't get a chance to see it in the daylight, and today's kind of overcast too, but man, this car really pops out. I love this blue. So let's quickly take a look here at the window sticker. This is the A-Spec with the technology package, of course, so it is a pretty high up trim. The A-Spec is the only trim that comes available with the 6-speed manual transmission. Now, as an auto enthusiast, this is the only trim that I'm going to be looking for when buying an Integra. So it has a 200 horsepower 1.5 liter turbo engine. It shares the same engine as the Civic Si. It is a little bit different though. 6-speed manual transmission, of course, LSD. It's got a bunch of the technology features with the tech package, so it is pretty well spec'd, as you can see inside. 16 speaker premium audio package, sports seats with the micro suede, heads up display, wireless charger, front and rear, parking sensors. So it's got a lot of packages. The A-Spec package, of course, has the styling, the 18-inch wheels, comes with all season tires, LED fogs, and a bunch of the safety features such as the lane departure, the collision warning. Go here, look at these wheels, nice 5-spoke wheels in gunmetal, 18-inch tires, Continentals from the factory. This look really good. Love the A-Spec styling on the side. You come into the door trim, we have A-Spec on the side. Back seat does not have it. Dual tip with a black garnish on the exhaust. I love how this car has the Integra inscribed into the front and rear bumpers. That's a really nice touch to it. So if you guys are curious as to how this compares to an ILX, this is strictly a hatchback. It also is a little bit longer and bigger on the inside compared to the ILX. And this car is actually replacing the ILX in the lineup. Really spacious interior. These white seats, it has the micro suede inserts in the middle. It kind of feels like an Alcantara, but a little bit less soft, I would say. And then we have the black accents here on the side. Pretty nice. Probably not my first choice in color for the interior because it will inevitably get pretty dirty. Here on the door panels, ELS Studio, nice audio system, 16 speakers. Here in the front, nice LED strip, daytime running light, black grille. You can see inside the grille we have the parking sensors, and as well as on the bumper. Pedals are really nice. We got the metal plates on top. So we do have a hood prop over here that shares the same one as the Civic. If this engine does overheat like the way that my Type R does, you can expect the plastic tip on the end to start melting if it gets too hot. Engine layout is very similar. We have the air box over here, turbo over here, downpipe goes right there. Let's go inside and check out the interior and the features. So when we get into the cabin, it feels very luxurious in here, like an Acura should. It's definitely a lot more comfortable and spacious than the Civic Type R off the bat. It's very quiet in here. The leather smells great. Let's see all the modes that it has. So the parking brake, we have the auto start and stop button here, and then we have the different sport modes that we can go into. So there's comfort, normal, and sport. And you can see like the radio and also the cluster, the digital dash, changes colors with each mode that we turn into. Climate control, very intuitive. I love the LCD buttons here. That is a really nice touch. Wireless charging, USB-C, USB, nice shift knob. It's a very similar shift knob to the one that came in the S2000. We get a backup camera. The license plate is blocking it, but this touchscreen is very responsive. You can see I'm going through all the different modes and it responds very quickly. That's something that we don't have in the Civic. The Civic responds pretty slowly, actually. Different trip monitors. We have actual buttons, we have actual dials. My biggest gripe about the earlier 10th gen Civics is it was like a touchscreen only, so having the buttons is a really nice feature. And then the climate control is actually this little toggle here, which you can control the direction of the airflow. I actually like this a lot compared to the scrolling ones. This is really easy to use. This is the same setup that comes in the 11th gen Civics now. Interior is very nice. Let's go ahead and set up the camera onto the window and we'll go ahead and take it on a drive. If you guys are watching this channel, you should probably only be looking at the one with the 6-speed transmission, or you guys can leave. So I noticed immediately that the clutch in this car actually grabs pretty low. It's very similar to the Type R and how it feels. The steering is nice. It's pretty light off the bat, but we're in sport mode right now, so maybe the steering does get a little bit stiffer when we pick up some speed. So yeah, I'm just getting used to how low the clutch grabs, but it feels really good. I like the shifter. So this car does have auto rev match, just like the Type R does. Have some body roll, but it's not too bad. Rev match is nice. So let's try it in normal mode. So it still has auto rev match. The throttle response is definitely not as sensitive, because before I would just tap the throttle and it would be pulling. Even normal mode actually feels really nice. We're going to take it here on the highway. I'll put it back into sport and we'll see how it does on the merge. So for only 200 horsepower, it actually doesn't feel that bad. It has the torque from the turbo, which helps pick up for that lack of horsepower. Emerging onto the highway didn't feel that bad at all. And given that we don't have any passengers, so it will feel slower if you're hauling some other items or your friends and family. But for just a daily driver economy car, this feels really good. Like most other sedans in this price bracket don't have too much more than 200 horsepower. You're really in the 200 to 240 range on average usually. So let's put it into comfort mode and see if it changes anything. So I don't think it has electronic dampening with the suspension. I didn't really notice any change in the rebound or the stiffness of the suspension. But what I do notice is the throttle response, number one, and also the steering gets a little bit tighter and more stiff. It does take these turns very nicely. No issue there. We have the lane keep assist, which I have in the Type R, and then we have the distance for the adaptive cruise control, which is a really nice feature when you're driving. You can set it at, let's say, 65, and if a car in front of you slows down to 55, the car will automatically slow the car down and bring it back down to 55, so that it keeps a nice distance from the car in front of you. And then when that car leaves that lane, the car will then immediately pick back up to where you had it set before. Really nice red Miata. That was super clean. The heads-up display, I don't think you guys can see it on the camera, but it tells you the speed, the direction that you're traveling, and also the current speed limit of the road that you're on right now. On the steering wheel, the leather trim feels really good. I actually really like how the steering feels in this car. Heated seats. Let's maybe put it back into comfort and see how that does in the city. So yes, in comfort mode, the throttle response is a lot slower. I didn't feel like the car was lunging forward on me with a simple tap of the gas like it did in sport mode. So my initial impressions on this car, I think for $37,000, that's what the sticker price on this car is. I'm not sure if they're going to be charging any market adjustment on this. I'm sure they will be, because inventory is low and this is a brand new model car. So I can probably see this asking maybe $5,000 over sticker price. So now we're about $43,000 before tax, registration, and all that. And I think when you compare that to the competitors, this competitor would probably be like an A4 or a 3 Series. Not a lot of those come with a manual option anymore. But you have to keep in mind that this is a front-wheel drive car, and a lot of people, especially in New York, when they're buying something like this, they probably want the all-wheel drive for the adverse weather. But if you don't mind the front-wheel drive, I think this is a great car. I would definitely consider owning one of these. But at the power level for stock, it's a little bit too low for me. I think the Type R at 305 horsepower is probably the bare minimum that I want for a manual daily driver. And this is a hatchback too. It just doesn't have that depth that the hatchback on the Civic does. I didn't expect this to have auto rev match. That's really cool. It just makes it a little bit more comfortable to drive in a daily driver situation. I don't think I would buy this car if it was a CVT. There's probably no way I would spend $42,000 for a front-wheel drive CVT luxury Civic. It would have to be in the 6-speed manual because it's not all that powerful. Off the bat, I think this car would do really well with some performance upgrades, like a simple tune or a flash from Honda or K-Tune would probably make this car come alive, and you'll get a lot of torque out of it too. But I'm looking at the cluster here. On a full tank of gas, we're looking at 375 miles of range. So I don't know how big this gas tank is, but if it's like about a 10-gallon tank, maybe a little bit bigger, this car probably does get in the high 30s on the highway, similar to what the Type R does. Because the Type R on the window sticker advertises 28 miles on the highway, but I got 35 and I was averaging a pretty high speed with the AC on, with passengers and luggage too. So I wouldn't be surprised if this car actually ended up getting more fuel economy than advertised. It's definitely a lot more responsive than the digital cluster in the Civic. It's very smooth, like even the sweep of the tachometer is very smooth. You don't see it kind of breaking up as it's going up in the rev range, and especially with the speed too. So if you guys can see the little car, that's the left turn signal, that's the right turn signal, and then that's the brakes. You can see the car. That's so cool. I love that. And then look at the sweep of the tachometer. It's actually really smooth. So that concludes my review of the 2023 Acura Integra first impression. I think it's a really, really nice car for what it is. Awesome price point if you guys want something that's fun to daily drive and also has a 6-speed manual transmission. You don't really get that nowadays, and it's also backed by the Honda Acura reliability and the really nice 1.5 turbo engine that you can get a lot of performance out of. Big shout out to Acura of Bedford Hills for letting me test drive the car and see it in person. This is a really, really cool experience. I hope to do more videos like this with new releases. So if you guys like this video, please smash that like button, please subscribe, and check out the future content.